Hello all, so today we're diving into Chapter 2, where we're talking about healthful nutrition for fitness and sport, looking at the consumer athlete. What you eat can have a significant effect on your health. Hippocrates, the Greek physician known as the father of medicine, recognized the value of nutrition and the power of food and to enhance health when he declared that you should let your food be medicine and medicine be your food. As noted in Chapter 1, the foods we eat contain various nutrients to sustain life by providing energy, promoting growth and development, and regulating metabolic processes. Basically, healthful nutrition is designed to optimize these life-sustaining properties of nutrients and other substances found in food. You are what you eat is a popular phrase that contains some truth, particularly in its implications for both health and athletic performance. Now, if we look at nutrition and health, there are three keys to a healthful diet. One of those is it should have variety, as well as everything in moderation, and it should have balance. Now, really, when we look at it, there should be a total balanced approach to healthy eating. And a big diet that we talked about in Chapter 1 was the prudent healthy diet. And this is something that is proposed by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. The foods you eat contain a wide variety of nutrients, both essential and non-essential, as well as other substances that may affect your body functions. These nutrients are synthesized by plants from water, carbon dioxide, and various elements in the soil. And they also become concentrated in animals that consume plant foods. Various nutrients may also be added to foods in the manufacturing process. Careful selection of wholesome natural foods will provide you with proper amounts of nutrients to optimize energy sources, to build and repair tissues, and to regulate body processes. However, as we shall see in later chapters, poor food selection with an unbalanced intake of some nutrients may contribute to the development of significant health problems and impair sports performance. So what are essential nutrients? In relation to nutrition, the term essential nutrients describes nutrients that the body needs but cannot produce at all or cannot produce in adequate quantities. Thus, in general, essential nutrients must be obtained from the food we eat. Essential nutrients also are known as indispensable nutrients. As noted in Chapter 1, 6 classes of nutrients are considered necessary in human nutrition: carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals, and water. Within most of these general classes, notably protein, vitamins, and minerals are a number of specific nutrients necessary for life. For example, more than a dozen vitamins are needed for optimal functioning. So Table 2.1 lists the specific nutrients currently known to be essential or probably essential to human. Some of the nutrients listed have been shown to be essential for various animals and others theorized to be essential for humans. Curing a nutrient deficiency disease by a specific nutrient has been the key factor underlying the determination of nutrient essentiality. However, the concept of nutrient essentiality has evolved to include substances that may help prevent the development of chronic diseases. Most recently, the essentiality of choline was included with the B vitamin group, and the list is likely to expand in the future as research reveals health benefits of various plant substances. The human body requires substantial amounts of some nutrients, particularly those that may provide energy and support growth and development of the body tissues, namely carbohydrate, fat, protein, water, and several minerals and electrolytes. These nutrients are referred to as macronutrients because the daily requirement usually is greater than a few grams. Most nutrients that help to regulate metabolic processes, particularly vitamins and minerals, are needed in much smaller amounts, usually measured in milligrams or micrograms, and are referred to as micronutrients. Although, as noted in Chapter 8, minerals may be classified by other terminology according to the daily requirement. Essential nutrients are necessary for human life. An inadequate intake may lead to disturbed body metabolism, certain disease states, or death. Conversely, as an excess of certain nutrients may also disrupt normal metabolism and may even be lethal. Some foods, such as whole wheat bread, may contain all 6 general classes of nutrients, whereas others, such as table sugar, contain only one nutrient. However, whole wheat bread cannot be considered a complete food because it does not contain a proper balance of all essential nutrients. One model of the possible relationship between nutrient intake and health is noted here in the slide. An inadequate intake may lead to nutrient deficiency diseases, while excessive amounts may cause various toxic reactions. Both deficiencies and excesses may be fatal if carried to extremes. Nutrient intakes within the recommended daily allowance, or RDA, or adequate intake, AI levels, are normally adequate and safe, while those below these levels may lead to deficiency diseases. Nutrient intakes above the tolerable upper intake, or UL, may lead to toxic reactions. So what are non-essential nutrients? Those are nutrients found in food that also may be formed in the body, are known as non-essential nutrients or dispensable nutrients. A good example of a non-essential nutrient is creatine. Although we may obtain creatine from food, the body can also manufacture creatine from several amino acids when necessary. Thus, we need not consume creatine per se, but must consume adequate amounts of the amino acids from which creatine is made. As we shall see later, creatine combined with phosphate is a very important nutrient for energy production during very high intensity exercise. Other than non-essential nutrients, foods contain non-essential substances that may be involved in various metabolic processes in the body. These substances, sometimes referred to as non-nutrients, include those found naturally in foods and those added either intentionally or inadvertently during the various phases of food production and preparation. Classes of these substances include phytochemicals, extracts, herbals, food additives, drugs, and even anti-nutrients, which are substances that may adversely affect nutrient status. Many of these non-essential nutrients and other substances are marketed as a means to enhance health or sports performance. Table 2.2 provides some examples that will be covered later in this text. Nielsen discusses the issue of whether some non-essential nutrients, particularly various phytochemicals found in plants, may eventually be classified as essential nutrients if they are found to provide significant health effects. So how are recommended dietary intakes determined? And as noted in Table 2.1, humans have an essential requirement for more than 40 specific nutrients. A number of countries, as well as the Food and Agriculture and World Health Organizations, have estimated the amount of each nutrient that individuals should consume in their diets in the United States. The recommended amounts of certain of these nutrients have been established by the Food and Nutrition Board, the Institute of Medicine of the National Academy of Sciences. The first set of recommendations, or RDA, was published in 1941 and revised periodically over the years. In general, scientists with considerable knowledge of a specific nutrient met to evaluate the totality of scientific data concerning the need for that nutrient in the diet. Based on their analysis, specific dietary intake recommendations were made. Based on this concept, the Food and Nutrition Board, working with Health Canada, developed new standards for nutrient intake, the Dietary Reference Intakes, or DRI, for Americans and Canadians. The most recent DRI were developed for vitamin D and calcium in 2010. The DRI is an umbrella term consisting of various reference intakes that replaces and expands on the recommended dietary allowances. This is the dietary reference intake chart, which basically it goes over the recommended dietary allowances and adequate intake and vitamins for both infants, children, male, female, looking at pregnancy as well as lactation and ages associated with all of that. The recommended dietary allowance, or the RDA, represents the average daily dietary intake that is sufficient to meet the nutrient requirement for nearly all, or 97 to 98% of healthy individuals in a group. The RDA is to be used as a goal for the individual. You may use the RDA to evaluate your intake of a specific nutrient. The RDA term is used throughout this book as the means to express nutritional adequacy. Adequate intake, or AI, is recommended daily intake level based on observed or experimentally determined approximations of nutrient intake by a group of healthy people. When an RDA cannot be set because extensive scientific data are not available, an AI may be established because limited data available may provide grounds for a reasonable judgment. You may also use the AI to evaluate your intake of a specific nutrient, but remember that it is not as well established as the RDA. The AI term is used throughout this book as appropriate. The acceptable macronutrient distribution range, or AMDR, is defined as a range of intakes for a particular energy source that is associated with reduced risk of chronic disease while providing adequate intakes of essential nutrients. The AMDR is expressed as a percentage of total energy intake and has both an upper and a lower level. Individuals consuming below or above this range are at more risk for inappropriate intake of essential nutrients and development of chronic diseases. AMDRs have been set for carbohydrate, fat, and protein. The tolerable upper intake level, or UL, is the highest level of daily nutrient intake that is likely to pose no risk of adverse health effects to most individuals in the general population. The UL is given to assist in advising individuals what levels of intake may result in adverse effects if habitually exceeded. The UL is not intended to be a recommended dietary intake. You should consider it as a maximum for your daily intake of a specific nutrient on a long-term basis. The UL is cited throughout this book when data are available. The requirement of half the healthy individuals in a group. Conversely, half of the individuals consuming the EAR will not meet the nutrient needs. The EAR is used to establish the RDA. Depending on the data available, the RDA is some multiple of the EAR, mathematically calculated to provide adequate amounts to 97 to 98% of the general population. When sufficient scientific data are not available to calculate an EAR, then an AI may be provided. The estimated energy requirement, or EER, is an estimate of the amount of energy needed to sustain requirements for daily physical activity. The EER is covered in more detail in Chapter 3. Currently, DRI have been established for all classes of essential nutrients, including carbohydrate, fat, protein, and amino acids, vitamins, minerals, and water. The new DRI also, for the first time, provide recommendations for those 70 years and older. Tables containing the current DRI may be found on the inside of the front and back covers of the text. The current DRI will be updated with inclusion of additional substances such as phytochemicals as future research data merits. So in determining your personal DRI, you want to use this particular website to obtain your personal DRI for vitamins, minerals, and macronutrients. As far as the cost of healthy living, what they find is that energy-dense foods, high in sugar, typically they cost about $1.76 for 1,000 calories. Versus fruits and vegetables and other healthier foods is about $18.16 for 1,000 calories. So really you're talking maybe 50 cents difference between eating the foods that are high in sugar and fat versus healthy foods. So to reduce the cost of healthy living, you want to choose seasonal fruits and vegetables. Capitalize on store specials on fresh fish, chicken, and meat. Separate into smaller packages and freeze those particular items when you can. And purchase whole grain products in bulk, as well as buying bags of frozen vegetables, which are usually cheaper and don't spoil. So thank you for